so we can like technically begin. Yeah. Yep. Your live exclamation point. That's a good sign. Yep. Alright, I think I got the link now, so I'm just gonna go through all our friendly Discord servers and let everybody know we're going live. Yep, I know. Yep. I was just making sure everything was running because normally I do it the easy way by connecting the Google account, but today I had to use the stream key for whatever reason because it didn't want to cooperate with me, so I just had to do that. Now I'm just gonna, paste to a bunch of servers that might want to get involved that like Definitive Edition content. I know ESOC TV might want to go, so I'll put something there. Just let them know I'm live. Biggest thing we want to avoid for sure is making sure that the sound, I can hear you while also avoiding any potential echo effects. So I'm going to try to balance that out as much as possible. Yeah. Let me see here. Properties. Yep, I'll make sure it's coming through the speaker since we're not going to be, I'm using my speakers right now and not the monitor right now, so I want to make sure all that's lined up. Looks like it is now. And then just keep pasting to a bunch of AOE3 friendly servers, I guess. So everyone know we're live here.
I see 730 subscribers.
Yep, that's right. Quite a lot.
Coming along nice.
Yep, I'm almost at about 3/4 of the way to, again, monetization by views. So, I mean, I'm not too far from that.
Yeah. That's great.
I think we got them all now, so I think we're gonna get everybody we possibly can, at least from my side. They might not
Yeah,
come right away, but at least they know that we're here and we're ready to go. It's always good.
I saw someone join us stream few seconds ago.
Yep, I
Yeah,
see 2 concurrent viewers and 4 views total. Yep, I see when you view it from the browser, you can see a lot more statistics than when you're viewing it from OBS, which is pretty neat. Get a whole graph of what's going on.
but 2 people still. That's
Yeah, definitely. So everybody coming in, I guess we were microscopically delayed because I was having some issues getting the stream connected to OBS, so I had to do it the old school way with the stream key. I much would prefer to use the account to do it because then I can, I don't have to keep the Chrome browser open in my CPU. So, yeah. I think I updated my video settings enough for the stream to be okay. And thankfully, last week when I was doing my stream for the House of Trading Posts, they gave me some neat little tricks I can do with the bitrate, as well as some of the other output settings, so if your stream ever starts stuttering, you can do it without turning the live off, which is pretty cool, That's really good because then it causes less problems for the viewership, I think, in that sense. Definitely. So basically, I got a bunch of recordings today that you might want to do with me. I'll look through them and let me know if any of them sound interesting to you, because I never got a chance to download any of these.
I mean, AOA 3 is one of the best games that ever existed, so any game is good.
Yep, that's a perfect answer, I think. Perfect answer. Is there any modes you like in particular for PvP?
No, anything is okay. Deathmatch, 3T, 1v1s, 2v2s, anything.
Oh, that's very good to hear, because we got a big variety of stuff, it looks like. Do you like 40-minute treaty games?
I mean, I don't play them, but I know some strategies.
Oh, okay. You think you might want to try it? See how it goes?
Yeah, my father and uncle played it a lot.
Oh, they do
They
treaty?
don't like some Russian stuff, or... Yeah, they don't like to rush or anything. They just want to build up and slowly but surely make their army and go conquer their opponent.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm sort of the same way myself. But I think in my case I kind of go both ways. I can certainly play 1v1 aggro, but I really like to do these really late game situations to see if you have a bunch of resources and a bunch of map control and army, who can, win over a long period of time, basically.
Yeah, for that I do deathmatch, mostly.
Yep.
If I want a game with lots of resources, I go deathmatch.
Awesome. Yeah, I like deathmatch too. I mean, I don't do a lot of it in AoE 3. I do most of it in AoE 2, but deathmatch, I think, is very deceptive in a way, because in a sense it makes you feel like, oh, it's going to be mostly a build up at the start with all those resources, but no, it's actually really violent and hardcore at the start of the game, because if you don't act fast enough, you can die in the first few seconds of the game to somebody's aggression. It's just like a horrendous situation for those that don't realize that at first.
Yes, that is utterly true.
Yep, certainly. I'm just gonna get this loaded and make sure that it's here. I copied it to my directory, because thankfully I have my save game folder saved to my startup menu on File Explorer, so I can access it very quickly when live, which is pretty convenient for situations like this where we're picking and choosing stuff from HVNI's DM with me. This is where I get most of my records from. And you said you wanted to give me some of your records too at some point?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Then I'll begin multiple sources, so you don't just have to watch HVNI dominating room after room, room after room after all the time. You can see Stefan do the same thing too.
I also want to ask, I record my games when I play, but they don't show up here.
What do you mean they don't show up there?
They don't just, they aren't there.
Like
Just
not
some old
in.
games.
Oh, so if you set a game to record in the lobby, you don't see it in your load section?
Yeah.
Very strange, because normally any game recordings you perform, either single player or multiplayer, should appear in your game's save game directory. That's like a given of not only DE, but also the Legacy game too, because that's where I pull the Wars of Liberty casted games and the Liga stuff from as well. So if it's not in your save game folder, maybe it's disk space related or some other technical issue.
Maybe I will see about that, so we can see some of my games.
Yeah, I definitely want to see what sorts of stuff you're doing, because I know from our matches in Age of the World you're a very solid combatant for sure when you got a good build going. You know, you're good with the Jesuits, you're good with a variety of other civs. So I definitely don't doubt your abilities at all in the standard game as well.
I'm mostly doing Haudenosaunee, FF, or just pure rushing, or Germany Brunswickers, if you know
Oh yeah, the Black
what I mean.
Brunswickers. Oh yeah, the Death Head Hussars. Those are very very nice units for sure. Oh, or am I thinking
Yeah,
of the Skirmisher? I'm trying to remember now because I'm getting back into my
yeah, but
Napoleonic era knowledge now.
yeah.
Oh, I was
Uh,
thinking of the Tonkopf Hussar. That's the mounted one. The Skirmisher is the Brunswicker. Yeah, that's right, from the Napoleonic era.
what I do is I go with church text, so their speed is increased. They are already at 4.5 speed. Plus, I get them a drummer, so their speed is like 6.7, and I just go raid with musketeers.
Oh, certainly. You think you're ready to get started now with this casting?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So this is going to be from what the file said, it's going to be a 3v4 treaty game. So somewhere along the lines, one of these guys is going to resign somewhere or maybe get disconnected or something. So definitely a very interesting situation to say the least.
Also, I realized that stream is 3 seconds late, so just so you know.
Oh, so you're viewing things a little bit later than I am, basically.
Yeah.
That's totally fine, you know. Well, I'll lead the way if I have to, and you can, read. But one thing you might want to do as well is check the chat for me, because I'm going to be inside the game window the whole time. I might not see if anybody talks or anything. So if you want to answer anything for me, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um.
Yep, let's begin this thing now and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for treaty, there is a lot of coin, a lot of all the resources on this map. We have on one team, blue team has 2 Portuguese, one China player, and one British player, while the red team has Russia, France, China, and Sweden.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I just have a question. Does Sweden can Sweden build torps out of their perimeter?
Yeah, definitely.
They can.
The one thing I think the Swedes really do good of in any sort of like large team game is always having a really good resource count to work with overall, I would say. Because essentially what happens is if you take advantage of the Engelberg Ironworks card and as well as the Blueberry one, you can really get a high food and coin rate as the Swedes, and even get some good wood as well if you can place some of those torps properly.
Yeah, but can you, as Sweden, build torps on gold mines all across the maps? Because this is a treaty, so I don't think you can build torps on all mines.
You
Just one.
yeah. You can do them in within a certain vicinity of your town center. You can probably hit this
Yeah.
one. You can hit this one. You might be able to get this one, which is a pretty good number because that's like 12 of your torps, maybe 10, 11 of them. And then for the rest of them, what you can do is just put them on top of trees as your better alternative then. Which, you're still getting resources for, and that means you can leverage it towards getting town centers easier and other buildings. So, I mean, even if you don't have mines, that shouldn't make you worried of Sweden because you can just put them onto the trees then. And also, from an extent beyond that, as long as you have enough of economic cards, which looks like, yeah, they built this properly. They got the Royal Mint, the textile mill, the cigar roller, and the rum distillery. I think you're in pretty good shape, honestly, as Sweden, because your whole game isn't going to be built around the torps. It's going to be built around those late game cards. And all that the torps are doing is basically propelling you to get to Imperial Age, to your full potential economy, basically. A bit easier than the other cities that don't have those things to get them off the ground running. So, I mean, in the short term, yeah, it might sting a little bit, but as you get deeper into the treaty, you'll be thankful that you at least got some free coin and wood and food along the way to help you, get that initial set of stack of resources going for your fight, basically.
Yeah, that's what I asked because I know that native cities can build tribal marketplaces on all mines across the map, no matter where they are or if they are in the vicinity of TCs.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I feel like Aaliyah in particular is just a really solid Sweden from the games I've seen of Deathmatch, He can play standard, and he knows his way around the Jaegers and the Black Riders as well if he wants to go full mercenary, which Sweden happens to be really excellent at thanks to... Well, actually, he doesn't even have the German mercenary card here, so he left that one out, which I'm kind of surprised by from Aaliyah because he's like the MVP of mercenary play. I don't know why he didn't go that route at all, but it's alright because if I recall correctly, can't you get the German mercenaries in at some point in Age 3 through the mercenary contractor, right?
Yes, you can.
Yep, so yeah, he's probably not too worried about the stats, and if he wants to go that route, he just wants to get some other types of cards in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in particular having these prospectors is going to be great because it's going to keep adding value to your torps even into the late game because you'll be able to keep plopping those mines down as needed.
Yeah. The thing about treaty is I don't mostly know when I should age up or if I should age up at all. Because I know as you go up in ages, you get better cards. I know that. But the problem is, if I'm aging up, I do want to be queuing up wills. So, few times I played Treaty, I either forgot completely to age up, or just forgot to build wheels, and my economy was way weaker than my opponents.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And did you notice that the China just resigned on Aaliyah's team? So it looks like they're going to be playing with
Yeah,
just 3 people. Hence the 3v4 in the file name.
I think China is very good for treaty because their age ups are not in the town center but wonder age ups, and also they can build the porcelain tower, I believe, which gives them free resources, so they can be very effective.
Okay, so it's got even more interesting. It looks like Killian has left
Yeah.
on the Aaliyah team, and then one of the Portuguese left on the enemy team. So even more people are dropping as we speak. This,
Oh,
yeah, this is looking. I don't know. I mean, it looks like Bo Claessens and Aaliyah are going to be fighting for themselves against 3 of these guys here: Lord of Fella, Oye, Pilgrim, and Comanche. So, what do you think, France and Sweden? Do you think they can take on a Portugal, a British, and a China?
yeah, I believe they can take them on because I know Elia is exceptionally well player, so maybe they can go. Uh, what can they do? Hmm. What's the best strategy for all of them?
Honestly, one thing I will note though, for the Portugal that didn't resign, he basically has access to the improved walls card slash technology, which
Mhm.
means that's going to be a really nice boon for their team to basically set up their initial defenses. Because one of the things you always do in a treaty game, or at least you try to do, is build 5, 10, 20 layers of walls to be your protective barrier at the initial sign of combat. And it's usually up to the enemy player to get culverins, mortars, some type of effective artillery to try to blast through those walls while defending against whatever you're throwing at them. That's at least the traditional treaty I grew up with in Wars of Liberty was walls and walls and walls on top of walls. If you don't build any walls, then you're not doing treaty right. And it's normally something
Yeah,
players will do probably in the last like 5 to 10 minutes of whatever treaty it is, depending on if it's 40 minutes or longer.
yeah. I do think walls are a good strategy, but if you can build up a sizable army, I think you can go offense and not defense. Uh, and also, blue team here they have the numbers, so I think they can easily go offensive.
Yeah, most definitely.
Hmm.
Team
British deck
engineering.
is
Yeah, team engineering school. I wanted to point that out. So it looks like these 3 players are going to have fast training artillery, which I don't know how that's going to affect these two trying to defend themselves.
hmm, I think all decks are heavy cannon focused. So right now, no one's spending any cards. I think if I played this game, I would have had economic theory and then sent that at the start of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, one thing you can definitely do with France in this situation, which I think they might need to do to survive against a larger team, is to really play into their native warrior strength because they get access to
Mhm.
team French auxiliaries, they get access to native warrior combat, wilderness warfare, even some effects potentially from some of these other upgrade cards, which is going to make their native warriors really solid overall. Not to mention, these benefits like Blood Brothers and native warriors, which is going to give them a really good set of natives to add to their regular army. And I think the way you might have to fight this out as Bill Classens is try to make as many natives as you possibly can to make up for the larger army size of your opponents, basically. Because what you're going to run into is you got a China that's great at spamming more than 200 pop of units, plus a Britain, plus a Portugal. So the only way you can have an equalizer of sorts to deal with that is basically having native warriors fill that gap for you.
Yeah. Could France revolt this game? Maybe Napoleonic Revolution, or
Certainly they could. They could go with the Napoleonic era revolt, which is a wild card one that a lot of people like to see. He could go for another revolt as well, I think a lot of people have an infatuation with the French Revolution and the Napoleonic era one because of nostalgia reasons for many, as well as all the spicy card options it provides you.
100 days Musketeers, so you just spam Mask Falcon. When you lose enough Musketeers, you just go send that card and you get more than 100 Musketeers in one shipment.
Oh yeah, and he has access to Ancien Regime as well, so he'll be able to make those House of Bourbon natives as well, though at a population cost. So if he wanted to, he could potentially just go full out natives and artillery here. He could devote a large portion of his pop to the Royal Musketeers and the Royal Bourbon Dragoons. He could train the Maps natives, and then on the side of that, just make a bunch of heavy cans or other artillery with the Gribeaval system boosting them up, pretty much. And that would be a pretty solid way to go about this, I think.
Wait, I have a question. A few days ago I played against Mexico, and Mexico did fort spam.
Right.
So could fort spam work in treaty?
Like from
What's your thought about that?
like the Republic of Texas Ford spam.
Yes.
It could. You would just have to be worried about the spawn times though, and you might need to have economy on top of the forts. You're not going to be able to rely on solely the forts. You're going to have to use the forts as like a tool to save on resources, potentially. Yeah, and also the fact that technically you're not... Yeah, that's an interesting one because I think it kind of dupes your opponent in a way because they're sort of prepared for you to use the Mexican roster and then you just magically pull the United States roster on them with the Gatling guns and all those good tools. And they're like, oh, I prepared to deal with the Mexican roster. I wasn't ready to deal with Hussars or Carbine Cav or Regulars or Sharpshooters. It basically throws them off guard, and I guess in a way you could do that to fool your opponent, potentially, and use those free units from the forts as a justification for going that route.
Yeah, that is true. Also, because if you play Mexico Revolt or Texas Revolt and fort spam in normal games, you are gonna run into a problem of people rushing you and timing falconets and stuff. But here I think you can just easily get Mexico Revolt around 17 minutes and turn into Texas. Then just put out 2 factories, 7 fortresses is I think the max Texas can build, and all of them just produce Gatling guns, regulars, anything you want for free. Plus they have a card that turns all their soldiers into age 5 troops, so they can get Imperial Age upgrades. Plus, I know that they can also rebuild villagers. So I think at around 40-minute mark, they can definitely have fort spam to build them free army, plus their normal population if they need to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I definitely think you're onto something there. And maybe you or me or someone's gonna try that in a treaty game sometime, and we'll see for sure if, the ends justifies the means, and with doing all those extra steps pretty much.
Because I played as Howd against Mexico and I destroyed one fortress, I destroyed the other, I burn his TC, I kill his villagers, but guy just won't give up and he sends resources. He has 2 forts cards. He just build up. Even though I can go full mortars, I can't destroy him because his fortresses are just 300 gold, 100 wood. I destroy one, he builds another. And I lost that game. We played for like hour and a half. But nothing I can do.
Oh yeah, I mean, usually run into a lot of those situations where you just you got a good idea going, and then it just doesn't work out in the end because either your army is able to outsmart you and play around it, or it just doesn't add up to what you think it is usually.
Yeah.
But
So Elia sends 4 prospector wagons, but they are heavily down in score, like 30,000. Oh.
I mean, he is ahead of the British one though, so I mean, he's ahead of somebody,
Yeah.
I guess. And France isn't looking too good right now if you're going to go based off of pure numbers. He's actually Ilya's actually ahead now of China and British in score, only again bested by Portugal. And to me, that's not a bad thing because Portugal is always going to beat you because they're going to get access to all their villagers far before you do because, well, free covered wagons, town centers on top of town centers. Need say more than that. Plus the little trickle from those town centers thanks to the Fatoriev's card. So I mean, yeah, I don't think you can say, hey, Sweden should definitely be beating Portugal in a score, a purely economic race at that point because
Yeah.
Portugal is probably like the MVP of winning that race when they're left alone in a treaty game.
Yeah. Elia here seems to be just spamming sheep, and I think that's a good thing because it's a long-term investment and it's treaty, so he has enough time to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we know from game after game with Aaliyah that he loves herdables. He loves cows, he loves sheep, he loves llamas. He loves to get in there and get that extra food whenever he gets the chance. And I think in most situations, he ends up with a really good food score at the end of the game, and he rarely ever runs out of food because of that. Because he's not like everybody else. It's fine just seeing wheat and corn and stuff. He actually feeds his people real meat, and it pays off in terms of being able to afford cavalry and infantry throughout the match.
Yeah, it seems he is microing only food and coin, but quite heavily focused on coin. I think he might go for mercenaries because 7,000 coin is a lot.
Yeah, he's probably going to go for a massive Jaeger or Blackbriar, maybe Lanich or some other mercenary. Who knows? Because I don't see any mercenary shipments here. Like, I know Leo likes the giant grenadiers, and he could have put that shipment in there so he could get that at his tavern, but maybe he has access to it at his tavern right now, and we don't know yet. So, I mean, we'll have to see what selections the map gave him to work with here. and he'll have to go from there.
He also has infinite prospector wagons, so he is going to have enough coin to survive the game. China player jumping very, very much in score. British player is down a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure.
Maybe if Elia got the right composition of troops, he can counter Portugal, but Portugal is most certainly going to go either heavy cannons and Cassadors, or he is going to go Skirmgoon, because I believe that one of Portugal has a card in fifth age or fourth age that gives their goons 4 range bonus, so that's like quite a lot.
Yep, the Order of Aviz, this one, used to be called, Yanets, used to be called Genitors in the old days.
Yeah. So that maybe means that Portugal will go with Skirmgoon.
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
not.
most definitely. I think in general, we might not see a lot of light cav out of Bo Classens, mainly because he's going to be pulling in both Apache and Comanche natives as his native army,
Whoa,
at least his pop free
whoa,
native army.
what happened with France's eco?
What happened with France? Oh, it boomed. You know why? Because France has access to something called the Courrier de Bois, which gathers
I
much
know.
better than a standard villager. So the later in the game you get and the more texted you get, France will naturally get a much better eco than other civs just because of how effective their villagers are at working, pretty much.
Yeah, I know about that, but he just jumped 60k score. I don't know what
And
happened.
and I think Leah also sent him some food as well from all the herdables he was doing to help back him up. Because Leah
But what?
and his teammates are good at slinging resources to each other. Now Eco is thriving, so yeah, his Eco seems to be doing great
Yeah.
right now.
But what happened? I just don't understand. He just went 60k score up in a second.
Yeah, because Aaliyah slung him food from all the food he got from his herdables. When you
Yeah,
sling somebody
but
resources, their score jumps automatically. So I mentioned of that before because Aaliyah has a really booming economy with his herdables and his mining, so he was sending out allied resources to France because he knows France might not be doing good at the start to get him jump start and ready to go. Because technically, Sweden in this matchup is supposed to be the powerhouse of given the resources because they got the torps, they got the herdables, you know. And another thing too you can do with torps, if you didn't know, is this. You can kill your herdables right next to the torp, and the torp will also gather
yeah,
from that deceased animal as well.
yeah, I know that. Also, you can send crates to torps and they're gonna pick
Oh
them up.
yeah, that card. Does he have that here? Doesn't look like he does.
Yeah.
I never.
No, you don't need to send any cards. It just gets automatically. You
Oh
can do that immediately.
yeah. Well, you need a card to send it to the torp, though. Yeah, like isn't it called a allotment system or something where you base something like that where you can deliver economic shipments to your torps? Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think you can do that without sending any cards.
Yeah. That's definitely something new for me then, because I didn't know that. I thought you needed the allotment system card to actually ship economic shipments to your torps.
I mean, I may be wrong, but I believe you don't need to send any cards.
Sounds pretty good if that's true, though. That would be even more powerful than I realize. And that might be a way of doing Sweden in the future, instead of just going all mines.
Yes. China starting to build walls, just towering.
Yep, the Great Wall of China.
Seems like Portugal isn't going to build much walls. He's just doing Skirm-Goon, and I think he's confident with his score that he's going to push them out.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting choice. He's going to build his walls out first and then get Great Wall of China so he doesn't have to suffer from the super long build time once you send that card out.
Yeah, that's. But that card is very very good. But the problem is if somebody destroys your walls,
then you have to rebuild them, and then it takes forever to do it. Yeah, that's why I think now China's just going to try to build their little shell around their base right now when the build time is normal, and then once he knows action is going to be heading in his direction, he's going to time the shipment around then, so he can start to build some tanky protection for himself from any potential, in particular, artillery attacks, because essentially in this situation, what you run into is you got France, who's in your vicinity, who's going to probably be doing the Brivigil system boosted mortars alongside a bunch of native warriors, and you need a way to basically have those walls be as survivable as possible, especially here at the beginning, when you can only sort of build this little circular structure, and then you have to wait later to actually start to build further walls up against the trade route and possibly on the other side of the trade route, depending on what your movements are. Because I think one factor we never consider is in these treaty games is trade routes messes up your walls basically, because you can't put walls on top of the trade routes because those stagecoaches, those trains still have to get down that road. So it's not like you can put up, like a gate on top of the trade route to basically say, I'm going to put a bunch of gates down and make it hard to pass the trade route. No, you just have to sort of let the train roll through and have to move your walls beyond that.
China doing extensive fortifications, so they are gonna be spamming out castles. British player isn't doing anything. What is he doing even? He isn't building walls. I don't see any army on the map.
What do you mean armies?
I don't see any big blue dots on the map. I see red army down the trade route, but I don't see any big blue army.
Oh, British. Let me check on that for you. I can look. Yeah, so it looks like right now, from the looks of it, he has about 64 villagers. See, this is the thing. Just because this is Leah's game, there's no 100% guarantee that this ally of theirs, Zoye Pilgrim, is on the same playing level as the other players. Because I think since this is a ranked, a ranked treaty, it's totally possible they got a rando in there that might be a lower level and might not know how to manage his economy the normal way that we all know how to do it. So you have to keep that in mind for sure, because definitely when I look at this and I see how few villagers he has towards the end of the treaty, to me that's sort of a red flag of saying, he might not know how to play the game in the late game. He doesn't know how to play late game, which, it's alright, because you got allies that are much better and they can help guide you in the right direction. It's just, you definitely wouldn't want to be playing by yourself in a lot of these cases, because you might not be able to catch up right away.
Also, he didn't do any herding as teams because he's already on. There are multiple herds in his base.
Yeah, I think also this deck here is a severe red flag for not knowing how to play treaty as well, because look at all these unit cards here. This is really bad if you're like playing a serious ranked treaty game, because this utterly useless. You're never going to use any of these. These are absolutely useless. Sometimes Infinite 2 Rockets is okay, just because it's a unit you can only make at the factories otherwise, and you can actually save some resources from an infinite shipment like this. But all the rest of these, like this, utterly garbage. Even this is garbage, because, like, when would you ever send one Falconet instead of 2 rockets? Like, never. You would always want this because it's more units and better stats on those units. So this is automatically garbage, and you would never want this. You're not going to see action
also,
yeah.
Why have 3 villagers card and 4 villagers? Because he didn't use them at all. He could have gone with some economic theory or something better.
Yeah, this is a red flag of a player for if this is ranked treaty. At least if you're like looking for people to stack with you, I can tell right away that he was probably a rando, because unless they're trying to teach him how to play or whatever, you normally wouldn't want to be paired up with someone like this in a ranked treaty game, because their score would be pretty dull by the time that the game started, like the fighting, and you don't even know if they know how to fight exactly, because like you mentioned, he's not deploying in nearly enough time here. He's getting foundries, cool. Is he going to get barracks? Hopefully. Is he going to get stables? Hopefully. But you just don't know. When those 7 minutes are done. Yeah.
He's also second level. His DC is on. His like city is only on second level.
Yeah, that's the other red flag too. So I think what we can definitely say 100% sure is it's mostly going to be a fight between China and Portugal versus France and Sweden. The British is almost a non-factor at this point. He might prove some use for the other team, but he's not going to be, let's say, a win condition for that team. They're probably fine with that, because even if he's off in his own little world doing what he wants to do, it's still an even 2 versus 2 game. As long as the 2 other teammates can butt their heads together against the 2 other enemies, it doesn't matter if your teammate is a little bit slow, because at best he's going to be able to provide you some support and potentially overwhelm some of the players. At worst, he's just going to be not doing anything, and you're not losing anything. You know what I mean? So it's either way, it's either a neutral or it's a slight net positive for you. So I don't think it's too much of a problem at the end of the day. And he is building a wall here, so I don't know if he's doing it himself or, and somebody DM'd him in the background saying, hey, why don't you get a wall up? This is usually the time you do that. But he seems to be building some sort of wall here to protect himself a little bit. And I think he might just
It looks like somebody's watching over him and just saying you to do. As if he heard us, he built 18 villagers as we talked for the last 2 minutes. So he is getting more eco. He doesn't have a single unit, but he can prove useful in some situations. Maybe those, if he 30 musketeers that he builds can be a deciding factor in this game.
Yeah.
Or those 2 rockets.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at this point what they blue seems noob, lucky us. See, they already know that. They know something's up with that from the score, even without maybe even not scouting him. They know something's up with that kid, that he's not on the same level as everyone else. They're probably
Yeah,
France and Sweden are celebrating because they know now it's going to be a 2v2.
yeah,
It's not going to be a 2v3 now.
yeah, and he's also building like 20 artillery foundries, bro. You ain't gonna build any more artillery than you need maybe in 1 or 2 foundries.
Oh yeah, because what I think he's trying to do is he thinks, oh, cannons do lots of damage, so I'm just going to make 50 of them. Like that might be his mentality right now because he's not experienced. He thinks, oh, cannons, big boom boom explosion makes infantry fly, so we're just going to make all that because that's naturally what a human who hasn't played AoE3 that much would do, and that's technically what the AI did in the old game. Was it loved to spam artillery at the players with a lot of cheat resources, and it was actually really alarming because by the time when I was young and I didn't know how to macro properly, I had like some infantry and cav put together. The AI would already be there with like 10 falconets, 10 horse artillery, maybe even a heavy cannon if it was a German bot, and I just couldn't deal with it. So in that sense, doing what this kid is doing here is a great idea, but when you're dealing with humans that know how to go toe-to-toe, they know what culverins are, they know what dragoons are, they know what hussars are, and how to play like that, yeah, it doesn't last too long, unless you're getting some backup of some kind or you're throwing natives in the front of them or something, which this map doesn't have a lot of natives to do that. Again, you just get a Apache and a Comanche, so technically the right way to protect it, but just not the numbers you would need to make it work.
Yeah. So Elia just sent more than 70k, around 75k food to France, and I think France has that card, fur trade. I think it's called that transfers all food into coin.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So maybe he's sending those 70,000 food to France to use that card to turn all the resources. Yeah, you see, uh, Sweden sent 70,000 food to France. France then probably used that fair trade card and sent 75,000 coin back to Sweden.
Yep,
So
right
he
here.
used
Fur trade. There you go. Yep. This is a technique I was taught a long time ago in Treaty from a player. He taught me what to do with the Dutch was get a bunch of coin eco, basically, as much as you could, and then you send deep sea bubble to get, I think, either the food or the wood to send your allies, and that's like a really good way to dominate in Treaty.
Yeah. I don't know why France is. Oh yeah, I forgot. France is probably just gonna do. He has 60,000 coin, 5,000 food, and 10,000 coins. So he's probably just gonna do food and wood for the rest of the game and build natives plus whatever he wants.
We're almost going to be seeing some warfare in less than a minute, so get your seatbelt on, people. We're going to be covering some quick action, I think, on both sides of this map. And we'll see if Blue can pull his weight or not in the end.
Yeah, that guy, Oi Pilgrim, wrote something in chat. He feels cold. He wrote this, feeling a bit called out about not having an economy.
Right. Yeah, that's like the most important thing you can do in Treaty is have an economy. Like, you need to basically know, alright, how am I going to keep my score up? Because in Treaty, the idea is I got all this time to prepare a proper economy and stockpile resources. If you have trouble with that, you're going to die in the first, usually 5 to 10 minutes of that game without proper preparation. you need to prepare really.
Yeah,
It's
France.
yeah. So here we go with
Say.
France and China. So France is doing mostly light cav, combining the natives with the Royal Dragoons. We got the Royal Muskets, and here's the Grivibiel system boosted cannons, the heavy horse guns. They're going to be coming from the back, as well as some coves, to make. Yep, they're making short work of those heavy cans and flying crows.
Yeah, I believe if France went only goons, he didn't need any artillery. He just could went could could go all goons and just not have to worry about artillery at all, because they are artillery is kind of mid against cavalry. So
Yeah, I like this combination because it does really well against the more elite Chinese units, which would be the iron flails and the meteor hammers. So going with a lot like Cav kind of hits China very hard versus one of the few units China does really well in terms of stats.
Olgar just blasting the hell out of Chinese cannons.
Yep, and this is what's going on the Swedish side. They're doing Dalkarl pikemen with culverins right now, so they're doing pike and cannon right now. It looks like.
Oh, France missed micro this a bit. He lost nearly all his cannons. So a bit was missed micro, but
I mean,
nothing to about.
yeah, yeah, certainly you would probably want to have a couple of light cav back there to protect those, I would think. But I think in this sense, though, his main concern is basically spamming out the natives since they're going to be the main fighting force here. And also, too, you technically don't need the artillery as much for siege because you are using the hand mortar armed grenadiers to do some of the siege for you here.
That's true.
Oh, look,
Also,
British is doing something useful here. They're sneaking into the side with the Imperial Grenadiers with grenade launchers. He's actually doing something. That's very,
yeah, I mean that's what you said earlier, that he can't do any harm. He can only be neutral or be positive
yeah, so
for
it looks
his
like
team.
he's
So
actually
I
being positive here. He's actually putting together an okay idea here. And I think because
yeah,
the teams are imbalanced in terms of numbers, this mosquito can leave a very nasty bite now into your. This mosquito is becoming a serious pest because now he's blowing up one of their factories. That's a huge loss. And they could come down and wipe this one out too. This is actually really
yeah,
serious, like brutally serious. This forces France to divert some of their natives onto this front just to protect their allies' assets. This is a lot better for the Portugal and China team than I thought. And this actually puts them in an interesting spot here, for sure. And it gives Portugal some time to recuperate some of their unit numbers and maybe get some upgrades on their musketeers, I guess. Veteran musketeers at the end of treaty time, not good. I mean, I don't know who needs the lessons here. Is it the British or the Portuguese at this point? I mean, how much resources do they got?
yeah.
Is there any reason why they? Yeah, no, they have the resources to pick up the RG. Yep, now they're getting it, the Legionario musket, and then they'll get the Imperial Legionaro. So yeah, they're working on that. It looks like finally. So they definitely need to get on top of that.
As you said, Sweden is doing Jaegers, Savalax Jaegers are being sent for Sweden, and I don't know why Portugal is building musketeers, because I think overall Cazadors are and Cav are best shout here. Cazadors and
Yeah, I
Goons.
agree with that 100%. He might be trying to stonewall his pikemen because of the musketeers' hand armor, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, they have 20% hand armor. That's a lot
Yeah,
for a normal musketeer.
Yeah, that's not good though. I mean, you really shouldn't be using Hussar against somebody spamming pikemen. That's a bad idea. And then you got the Gustavian Guard as well, so you got some halbs mixed in there. Yeah, you definitely want to get some more like culverin skirmisher stuff here to deal with these cans and infantry and force him to change up his
Yeah, but
game plan.
mm, what I'm going to say is both France and Sweden have more than 80,000 coin in their pockets. And as I see, Sweden is building pure Dalkar pikemen, and France is doing multiple things like natives and stuff. Because they have so much coin, they should use it.
Yep.
They aren't using it. They are building natives and pikemen. That's not how you spend 150,000 coin. That's a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, this is getting pretty interesting now because now we see France changing up to Voltaglire and Dragoon. You know, that infamous skirmisher Lightcav combination. And you got China here trying to roll in the flamethrowers now as a countermeasure. You know, flamethrowers are kind of an interesting one because they actually don't have the artillery tags. So they, oh yeah, but unfortunately, artillery blasts them to pieces though, especially these ones. So yeah, the flamethrower is just not the answer right now on this side.
Hmm.
Territorial army, it looks like Chengdao and Aquabizir. Big emphasis on anti-cab there
Even,
for sure.
even though red team is outnumbered, I don't believe they are much weaker. They have gathered up most of the terrain on the map, so they have expanded outwards. They did lose one factory, but again they have pushed out their opponents. And if France could destroy Chinese walls, because they are so hard to rebuild now, I think they could raid and harass Chinese players.
Yeah, that's definitely a very interesting point that you mentioned. Take advantage of those slow wall building times after Great Wall is sent and, you know, make their economy really suffer.
Oh, those Qingdao swordmen look pretty nice.
The one grenadier doing raiding here, you're actually going to force France to send one hussar to deal with it.
Yeah. Uh, a few minutes ago, it was first time in my life that I saw Elia build. He was building field guns, and I saw that in chat that it read you can't build more than 8 military units in foundries at the same time. I have never ever seen that message in my whole Age of Empires career.
Wow, very interesting for sure. I mean, Aaliyah is doing pretty good here. I mean, he's with the help of his ally doing the frontal work with the SARS, he's able to just support in the back with all these field guns and now plowing pikemen to help with the siege part and the anti-cap protection. But however, these culverins though did a really good blast in there, and they were able to. They wiped out the entire line of field guns really well. So you gotta watch out for Portugal. They know how to aim their culverins pretty well. More field guns though on the way to stop a pushback. Question. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to get these culves over there to counter these in enough time. So I mean, now that Portugal's probably going to have to queue up some more from these foundries just to protect that side.
Yeah, but China is being a nuisance in on the right side of the map. Their Qingdao pikemen are pretty strong, so I think they can cause a serious amount of damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing you get to enjoy in this situation as long as British are doing their job is you can force Bill Claessens and Aaliyah onto this one front to do work, and while you're doing that, China can be going full throttle on this side, becoming a constant threat to France, forcing France to fight on two fronts all the time, which, you know, for the normal person, they might not be able to micro two fronts at the same time, even with control groups. So, I mean, if the more you can force both classes on the both sides of the map doing things, I think that's your best key to victory here. Taking advantage of those player numbers, for sure. Of course, as long as British are willing to help out, which they seem to be doing. I mean, look, he's attacking a Swedish fort right now with all these grenade launchers now. I think this is certainly a good job by the British player trying to at least do something here to help out the team. Also attacking the foundries. I am going to defend from green and help you out. So, yeah, that's kind of what Bill Claessens is forced to do now. He's going to have to do most of his primary fighting in this quarter, else he loses himself. But he's also going to have to do some work over here, too, with either using natives or even some of his population units to help out, because if he doesn't, Aaliyah's going to get overrun by a larger population army of spam, both from the Portuguese musketeers and artillery, as well as this grenade launching expedition the British keeps launching into them, pretty much.
Yeah. Also, that's the thing you said about two infinite rockets, because France has 5 shipments right now, and he can spend them on everything, on anything. So I would personally put a military card in age 4, probably infinite military card, so I can send some units with these shipments that he has gathered up.
Yeah,
If it
normally for France that would be the 4 Corsair Infinite Shipment H4, because it's a really expensive splash cavalry that can certainly change the tide of certain battles. Or he could have put the infinite shipment for the Huron mantlets too, because that would be a native warrior that doesn't cost any population, so it means more army for you in the end.
Yeah, mantlets are a bit OP because they have, I think, 50% range resist and 20% melee resist, so that's quite a lot. It seems that France has pushed out Chinese troops in the eastern part. Now they are making halberdiers. That might be a good shout out, because we saw um, China do a lot of cavalry and mostly melee units. So countering Qingdao swordmen and iron flail tails is very nice. If you understand me, so both units that China is making are countered by halberdiers, so that's a nice
Yeah,
thing.
people don't realize that halberdiers can counter skirmishers too, but when you look at these stats, note that it has relatively the same melee hack attack as a hand cavalry does, so as long as they can get up there, they can rip through them just as easily as hussars can, at least in terms of damage output. Yep.
Yeah, that is true, and I think the best nation for halberdiers is probably either Germany or doing it on Sweden, because Sweden has that church tax that sends you 18 halberdiers, and also uh, sends 18 halberdiers and gives your halberdiers extra speed as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I just freeze sometimes because I'm not a speaker, so forgive me.
Right, definitely.
Sometimes I freeze because I'm not an English speaker, so
Oh yeah.
forgive me.
I mean, that's fine. It's a language barrier. That's nothing you can help or anything. I mean, you know, you're doing fairly well because I feel like when you do mention points, I do understand what you're saying and I'm able to respond appropriately. So I mean, I think like 99% of the time your explanation of the game is generally spot on and informative and helpful for me. So definitely you're contributing to this stream just as much as I am, I think.
Mm-hmm. I have to do something like I'm gonna be back in a minute or so.
Oh, absolutely. I'll hold the fort down while you're doing that thing.
Yeah, you can, but I'm gonna be back quickly, so...
Oh, yeah, fine. It's a good time, too, because we're getting towards the end of this match. So, I mean, now would probably be the time to do whatever you're doing. Yep. Yeah, what do you think of StefanMitrovici's commentary people? Do you like having a co-caster around to help me out with this stuff? You know, it's certainly a very different experience for me, you know. For the latter part of a year, I've been doing most of the casting, explanation, wisdom stuff myself, but having somebody else along with me, you know, to provide his own input for someone that's probably been doing the game as long as I have is certainly, you know, very interesting. You know, I might be an older fella that picked up AoE3 at a different age group, but he seems to have the same years and background in it as I do. So I mean, you know, I'm always happy to see what strategies he knows, especially considering how well he performs and he's performed against me in Age of the World. So I mean, I know he understands build order well. He understands his military build up very well. So I'm always glad to have him join in with us and provide his input on these matches too. And if anyone else wants to do any of that sort of co-casting thing with me too, and they think they might, you know, be able to add some stuff in too, I'll have you come on with me. You know, I don't have a problem with it at all. You know, the more voices you can get, the more helpful it is, you know. And plus, too, if you have co-casters along the way with you, essentially you can basically have some eyes in the chat to basically find the comments. You know, when you're streaming by yourself, you know, you don't know what the chat's saying all the time because you're trying to do the cast of game and you can't, you know, flip back and forth all the time doing this very concentrated task. But if you have someone who's watching the stream with you and commentating alongside you, yeah, it takes one weight off your shoulder at that point, and it leads to a better product if you consider a stream a product in that way, you know. So anyways, I see now they're trying to put more of a focus on China, and I think Aaliyah at this point basically has full control of his situation. He wants mainly his ally Boklasins to go full throttle into this China and just wipe them out. Because if they don't wipe the China out, you know, this is going to be a problem. Because China is always going to be a thorn in their side. And eventually, Leah would get overwhelmed by the Britain and the Portugal because it's just larger numbers of units. And I think this is a pretty good way to clean up British and take out the threat entirely. Just make some cuirassiers. They got some good HP, good damage, and they got splash. You know, grenadiers cannot deal with that. So just making a couple of these cuirassiers is completely destroying the entire British army. You know, and yeah, pretty much. You know. Oh wow, well look at this. Look at this little trick. Sneaking a bunch of Dalcar pikemen behind the Portuguese lines. Hello. You know, this comes down to Oh wait, so he did break his way in. All right, definitely. I mean, I don't think this would happen in normal circumstances, but because the British is so slow right now, Oh no, not as slow as I thought. Here comes Grenadiers, so he is fighting back a little bit here. You know, British better
Yeah,
be
I'm back.
careful though. Yeah, you're back. Great. So you missed some interesting stuff. So if you see right here, this team of more players somehow allowed Leah to sneak a whole group of Dalcar pikemen behind their front lines into the British base. And all these settlers, again, creamed now for free. With no real serious response to deal with it yet. This deep in. Yep. Skill issue.
Yeah,
Serious
and
skill issue.
I just don't understand something from the British player here.
Yep.
He has 60 villagers,
Right.
and he only one layer of walls.
Yep.
So that just, and also he didn't have any outpost or kind of scouting in this whole area here. It's not covered in troops. Just, I have a question for him. Why?
I have a two-word answer. Skill issue. That's basically it. Get good, son, is a three-word solution. Get good, son. Learn how to play the game, because these are really basic issues. You know, if you're like a long-time AoE3 player, these are like things you would probably never or seldom do. Like, you know, you have to cover all your corners. You have to have something there, right? If you know you could get flanked somewhere, you should have at least towers, forts there, something to slow them down with. Because if you don't want units there, you could just have some towers and forts on top of those mills to at least kill a large number of those pikes for you and stop the pain a little bit so you could get something over there. But it looks like this British kind of just left everything in the open because, you know, you get about 7 outposts, even more if you have the improved card for it. And he could have just circled a bunch of towers around these buildings and he'd have some level of protection, which you don't see.
Yeah. And something we didn't talk about is British player does have improved defenses card, so he can have 9 or 11 outposts, and he didn't build a single one.
Yeah,
And also did you look how much time it took? Around 30 dull color pikemen to just bring down one wall.
Yeah. Yep, one thing leads to another, I think. It's just, you know, you need practice. Practice makes perfect. That's it. Just keep practicing. You know, today might not be your day, but, you know, eventually you're going to get there. You know what I mean? You're eventually going to see what your friends are doing and see what your enemies are doing, and you'll realize, well, wait a second, I'm not doing something right here, and I need to learn how to do better at this, or else I'm going to keep falling into the same pitfalls, you know. And I think he's going to learn from this situation, right? He's going to learn that, you know, if I don't do what I have to do, me and my team just won't be able to push forward, and that's what we see right here. The Portugal just pulled out at this point. The only real player we got left is China, which, you know, only doing good right now because now they know British is free season at this point, ready to be hunted and eaten at this point, and China's just going to take advantage of that and start sieging their way through. If it's China, though, I would probably try to just get into these inner walls myself with what little time you got, because, you know, they're going to be busy trying to eat up the British player very briefly, so you got a little window, at least a little window, that you could try to get through these walls, get yourself as deep into here as possible, and possibly throw France off, because I think the only way you see a pushback from this team is if somehow France gets forced into a retreat, and China's the main pushing force. Yeah. Well, British just resigned, so I think China resigns any second at this point, because there's really no option for them to go forward here. it's kind of a done deal for China.
China lost all hope in his heart for like last 10-15 minutes.
Oh
Just
yeah,
seeing radiant by pikemen.
yeah. It's a morale issue too. You can get demoralized by that stuff. Seeing that you got a teammate there that's letting that stuff happen, you're like, what am I doing here? Like, what am I fighting for at this point? I know he's not sticking his end up of the bargain, and we're probably gonna fail in the end because of it. It's basically it. Yeah. I mean, look, arguably the worst score in the entire game right here. I'm not counting anyone that resigned early. Of all the people that stuck through the whole game, he got the worst score by far. In his own league of bad right here because of the lack of macro control. Yeah, I mean, and then when we look at kills, look at how good France did here. They were fighting on two fronts this whole game. They did a really solid job of combat. Bo Claessens was probably the MVP fighter of this whole thing because he didn't only have to worry about his own front, he had to send Cuirassier, Hussar, and Skirmisher support over to Aliyah to alleviate the 2v1 situation on his side, so Bo Claessens was probably premier fighter of this whole situation, I would think. Who do you think was probably the better fighter of this game?
Can you repeat the question?
Who do you think was the best combatant this whole game? Do you think it was Bo Claessens, Aliyah, one of the opponents? Who did the most work, you think?
I think the most work for overall did the Chinese player. He did the most work, but if we are like in overall value of their play, probably Buckinless played the best.
Oh, that's very interesting. So you think that the China was, doing pretty good because he had to fend for himself and he was holding out for till the end of the game, basically, until everybody else started falling apart. He was doing his own thing and it was working. So I mean, he probably was up there with the enemy team in terms of viability.
Yeah, he was doing his job. He had 1,300 military units made. He fought the French and again and again and again, and he just was making units constantly, but the problem was the British kinda lacked knowledge, and Elia and Buckinless just perfect play.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case for sure. I'm gonna go look for something else for us to look at right now in this big list of stuff that HV and I sent us. Let me get over to him. There was one based on the title that interests me that I'm going to look for right now. I saw one here, it said Time to Micro. I don't know if this is like a normal game or this is a scenario game. I wanted to check that one out and see, what that might be about.
Yeah, we can totally review that game.
What did you say there? I kind of broke out a bit.
Yeah, anything is good, even scenarios.
Let me see. I'll try to paste this in. I'm in the right direction, right? Yeah. There we go. Time to micro. Yeah, Peter Comas, just keep working hard at learning your skills, man. You're getting there a little bit. You just need to work on mainly the deck, the starting macro, and maybe changing up the units a bit. That'd be a good starting place, I think, for you to keep up with the other ones. I did like your flanking maneuvers though with the grenade launchers. I mean, if you did that a little bit more persistently and sneakily, you might have actually took Ali into a horrible place. So I mean, that was a good strategy. So yeah, definitely never give up, never surrender. Just keep learning additional skills to win your games, and eventually you're going to be MVP just like me or StefanMitrovici is here. So definitely keep up with that.
Yeah.
I was once in your situation too, so I mean I understand 100%. That's all about.
Yeah, everything starts somewhere.
So this is the time to micro scenario, and Don Snow's gonna face Aaliyah in it. This is
Yeah,
have you ever played Time to Micro before?
no, I never played it. Just wait till I see the game. No, I never. I knew what this is about.
Yeah, it
They
teaches you
give
how
you
to
the
micro your units properly.
yeah, and they give you the same troops, and then you have to beat your opponent.
Yep, it's a contest of who knows hotkeys, control groups, formations, all that stuff, all mixed into one, and pulling away units. Like it, you have to basically, really practice your skills well. I wouldn't mind facing some like you or somebody else in this scenario. Now that I know they have a multiplayer version of it, might be fun. To see who knows how to manage their stuff better. In the end,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's interesting to
yep.
watch this.
Yeah, let's see how this one goes. I'm really looking forward to this. Hopefully it doesn't out
So,
sync, I didn't check it, so hopefully the game's merciful and doesn't mess up the file. So our first round is going to be 3 Hussars, 5 Abbas Gunners, and about 10 Janissaries. So it's going to be the War of Ottoman Armies. Let's see how they handle
okay,
this.
me it's delayed. So
Yeah.
yeah. Now it
Yep. So it looks like Janissaries and Abbas Gunners going right forward, and both sides seem to be moving their Hussars back and forth a bit, trying to see where they're going to pull in.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried for Leah though, because he kind of delayed some shooting time for those Abbas and Jans at the top there, so I don't know if that's going to hurt him at all. Oh, he's moving in with the scimitars now to wipe out the Hussars a bit. But does he have enough? Nope, unfortunately not enough, and those Abbas will be defeated.
Yeah, Elia is out microing him right now, but
No, that was Don Stowe, actually. He's the blue one. Oh, no, he's the red one. Sorry about that. He's the red one. You're right. Yep, you're right. Aaliyah's doing great. I kind of got mixed up because I saw Aaliyah in the red stripe over there, so I thought,
yeah.
yeah, I kind of got mixed up there. Yeah, you're right. So, yep. So now we got Don Stowe here with about 10 musketeers, 8 crossbowmen, and 5 hussars. So let's see how well they manage these troops. Looks like Aaliyah's going to do, or Don Stowe's going to do a bit of fishing here to try to lure out Aaliyah's units, because of that lovely AI that tells the units, hey, I see a unit, I'm going to chase it, If you can get an easy lame attack off of that, that's pretty good.
So if I was playing this, I would put crossbowmen up front, musketeers following in Shirley, and just trying to trade off hits with crossbowmen just to be positive. And we have a cav battle going on. Ooh.
Oh, okay. So it looks like Don Stowe going with the bayonet mode here. He's actually doing some serious chasing to the crossbows on Leah's side. And he's going to be able to wipe them out. Good work. Good work with that bayonet attack.
Yeah, I believe that in this round of micro, it didn't come like who had better micro. It just came that Don Stowe sacrificed his bowmen to kill enemy musketeers, and he sacrificed his musketeers to kill all the hussars, and then with everything he had saved up and hussars, he just went in and killed all the crossbows.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting, I see Dawn going with 2 groups of crossbowmen here. Kind of splitting up a bit. Keeping the Yuans too close to the front lines, getting eaten up by some of the pikemen though, so that's a bit of a concern. He's sort of keeping his pikemen in cover mode in the back, which isn't a bad idea. You know what's one thing you can do is, if you put your hand units into cover mode like this, they gain 50% pierce armor, 50% crush armor. And that can give you a chance to actually meat shield some of the bolts from these crossbowmen, which unfortunately, just because of numbers, you couldn't do it. But I sort of saw what Dawn was doing there, and it was kind of an interesting idea. Not one that always works, but maybe in the next rounds he might be able to get a good cover mode working.
Yeah, the problem in this round, he just put his pikemen on guard stance and they were left out of the battle. Maybe if they were in, it would have gone differently.
Yeah. So now we got muskets, skirmishers, and cuirassiers. So a bit of splash cav, some long range skirms, and then some musketeers to deal with the cavalry.
Curse, musk, and skirm.
I see Dawn going for a lot of hit and run here. He's trying to kite out as best as he can here, taking out some infantry in the process. But he lost one too, so it's a bit back and forth here on both sides.
Elia is just, dude. He has great micro. He micros the stances, so when he is getting hit, he gets them into the cover stand, so he doesn't take much damage. But then he gets them into normal stance, so he has the speed to move out. So he's switching stance.
Yeah, that was a very sneaky move by him.
And again, Dawn just going in with musketeers into bayonet mode, and it seems as it pays off again. So remember, kids, anytime you have musketeers, get them into bayonet mode and charge.
Right, so now we got about 20 unstoppable Strelitzes, 5 Cossacks, and about 10 musketeers here.
So standard Russian army.
Yep, pretty much.
I like Strelets are nice against heavy cav, but as a unit they are pretty bad. If you mass them correctly and you get them into Imperial Age, they can be solid, but all after all, I don't think they are a good unit.
Yeah, one thing I want to note though that I saw that Elia did was he moved 3 of his musketeers out into the melee mode here, and kind of just pushed his way forward towards Don Stowe's Cossacks, catching them off guard, forcing them to run inwards, and basically being able to surround them, which kind of led to their quicker death.
Yeah. Also, a fun thing no one probably knows, even you, is I don't think actually use attack mode on any of my units. I micro them not by hand, so I don't even use groups.
Yeah, I rarely ever use control groups myself. I think the only time I really like cover control groups is when I'm using artillery in another army, just so I can use the culverins to attack their artillery while I'm trying to use the rest of the stuff to do everything else.
Comanches, Axe Riders, and Crossbow. What is this? If Comanches, like, Don Stowe is just microing his ex-riders. Oh, ex-riders. Is he going? No. And
I
they
think it just
fight.
came down to Aaliyah reaching Dawn's crosswoman before Dawn's X-Res could reach Aaliyah's crosswoman, so it was all about timing there.
Yeah. And also, Elia killed all Comanches before they could take out his ex-cavalry, so he had more troops, all in all. So what is it now? 4-2 for Elia.
Yeah, Leia's doing pretty solid here. Now we're seeing Longbowmen try to engage now. Dawn better make sure he can wipe out the pikemen on the Aaliyah side, I think, because once you wipe out the pikemen, your hussars automatically gain some serious value here. Because it's one less serious thing that's going to wipe out your hussars now. Yep, and it looks like Dawn does have the pikeman advantage of still having a pike there. Oh, but Aaliyah does
Yeah.
have a pike there too, but he wiped it out, thankfully. Just watching. Nope. Aaliyah has too many hussars still. So he takes the win on that one too.
Yeah. The thing is, I think at the start of the battle, okay, first Elia had a small window of time to catch longbowmen with his hussars without hussars or pikemen engaging when they were trading crossbows at longbows at the start. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think basically. Oh, Leah did a sneaky thing and kept one of his pikemen off to the side to give him just that little edge in wiping out the Sars of Dawn, who thought he was at the end of his worries for that. Dawn
Hmm.
opting for a side attack from Hussars here to go after the skirms with. Alright, that's pretty interesting. He didn't work that great, though. He only took out like a handful of them.
Yeah, but I think the problem here was those three hussars didn't do that much work. I think splitting your hussars is okay. If you put them far, far away, they won't. You probably he probably forgot to engage them
Yeah, it's
right now.
it's a constant puzzle of when to engage with what, and playback stopped because it out of sync with the original game. Yeah, that's. So did it bug out or something?
What?
Yeah, the game just out of sync. The recording. Very strange
Uh,
indeed. Maybe he won or something. I don't know. Can't remember if that's
yeah,
how it usually terminates.
yeah. This is how it usually does, but we were already near the end of recording, so I don't think it was much of a problem because I think there was maybe one round to go.
Oh, interesting.
It was like near the end.
Yeah. What are you in the mood for now in terms of gameplay? I got a bunch of recordings here.
I mean, we can watch a few more games right now, and then I have to go. I can about the stream. Maybe we can do on Thursday.
Oh yeah, we could pick up on Thursday. That'd be great. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and
awesome.
I think so. Do like streams where we play one another or we play together, like ranked 2v2.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
We could play 2v2s.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Um, I see a one versus one ranked supremacy, Russia versus Germany. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, I'll put that one in right now. And we can do that one.
I can do streams whenever you want. It's just that I have a tournament in chess for it lasts 4 days from 1st of August to 4th.
Good to
So
know.
that's the
So
time.
we might have to skip those days and pick up from there.
Yeah. Do you know anything about when are new civs coming
Oh,
into
Polish and Danish.
no, Age of the World civs? So Kalusa, Armenia, and Georgia.
No idea, actually. From what I remember when I was doing the beta testing for the multi-civ and I was doing the coverage for that, I noticed that the Kalusa were pretty much done, mostly completed, but Armenians and Georgians were barely even functional. So the Kalusa seemed to be mostly, if not probably complete at this point.
Yeah, so few more civs play. That's gonna be nice.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, not a couple of, about three, a few, a few civs. I thought,
Yeah, but still.
yeah, I thought that they were actually going to release the Knights of St. John with those civs, so it would have been like a 4 civ patch. That would have felt pretty large, but I'm still glad they got Malta out a bit earlier than the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean they could have went with all four at once, but still. I just have to ask something. What do you think? Why won't they add all these new civs, Age of the World civs, and Wars of Liberty civs? Why don't they just add them to main game?
I think it comes down to marketing and money. Unfortunately, it's money because all the money is in either Age of Empires 2 or Age of Empires 4, and AoE 3 kind of gets the back pedal as well as AoE 1. I'm hoping that they do keep up with Age of Mythology, though, retold, and they don't throw it off to the side once the 2 expansions are done. That's kind of sort of what I'm hoping for, is they realize that Age of Mythology has a large fan base and they can make just as much money from keeping Age of Mythology going just as they would on AoE 4, maybe even more than AoE 4, because I feel like more people probably feel great about Age of Mythology than they do AoE 4, which is just a 3D version of AoE 2. So, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm sort of hoping for. Age of Mythology gets a lot of good attention.
I mean that is what you are talking about. I think Age of Empires 3 has three main problems. First problem is not enough players are playing the game, so I think Age of Empires 3 has around 20,000 players, while Age of Empires 4 has around 5 million, and Age of Empires 2 has around 100,000. So there are way more players playing other games than Age of Empires 3.
Where did you get these statistics from on AoE 4?
I don't know. Wait, just a second. Just a second. Uh, my mistake. It isn't 5 million, but 50,000
Oh,
peak
that makes a
players.
lot more sense because I couldn't imagine AoE 4 having a larger fan base than AoE 2. That doesn't sit well with me hearing that. Like 5 million in
Yeah,
AoE 4, like I gotta get into
my
that
mistake.
business. Then that would be pretty big.
My mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I noticed one thing though. Like whenever I do Age of Mythology stuff, I always get a larger viewership in Age of Mythology if it's a really interesting thing than I do in AoE 3, which I always found pretty fascinating. Like,
Yeah, but Age of Mythology is like new game. Many people are very excited about it. I seen some people play for 13 hours a day, just grinding because it's a pretty old game that everybody likes. It's an OG game,
oh
and
yeah,
like everybody's, we gotta play it.
yeah, and I think too. I know a bunch of people like Snoke and stuff. They're part of the Return of the Gods mod team. They don't even play Age of Empires games. They just do exclusively AOM. So there's a lot of gamers out there that only that played Age of Mythology and nothing else from the series. So to them, so it's totally possible you get a bunch of viewers on your channel doing Age of Mythology that might not even like Age of Empires at all.
Yeah, definitely. So we can start the game.
Yep, let's do some fun stuff now instead of a bunch of yapping, as they say.
Yeah.
Yep, so we got
So
Manir proper as the Russians and Aliyah playing his famous Civ of Germany. You remember Aliyah's Germany, right, from the last stream we did?
and yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, it's
So Russia is quite a good, quite a bad save at top level, but I think now for like lower elos they are quite good sieve. They can rush, they can boom, they can do FFs, FIs, many build orders, but I think they are best at early aggression and stuff like that. So we know Elia, he's a good player. We are just gonna see how he will fight this menace of Russia.
oh yeah. I'm gonna check his deck once it pops up to make sure it's the HOA one that we pretty used to at this point from him, and see if he did any edits to it because I haven't seen any more recent gameplays from him since the last time we streamed. So I'm gonna pull his deck up right now and see. Yep, he's got. Look at all these. Look, this is a true AoE3 player here. Look at all these decks. Entire mountain of them. That's when you know
Hmm.
there's some. So he is doing HOA 1v1. It's pretty infamous because it allows Leah to move around shipping his settler wagons, and the big eco bringer inner here is always his guild arzens, which really buffs up your settler wagons, which already gather really good because they are two villages in one. You know, they gather at the same rate as two vills because they are two pop villagers, basically. So, yeah, I think that combined with the option to either go cavalry or mercenary as sort of your late game options definitely gives Aaliyah a pretty good edge in this situation. What do you think?
I think that his deck is standard. We've seen his deck before. I see that he has frontier defenses in his deck, so he can easily defend some Russian early aggressions. Also, he again, as you said, he can go cav, he can go mercenary. He has many options. He can go war wagons. He can go focus like FF. He can go FI in industrial age. Try to get those wing hussar in then guild artisans and just to boom his eco. Also, economic theory. We've seen him do builds with economic theory earlier. This map is quite solid map. You don't have any water, but you have TP line. Nothing special. So we can. What is Russia doing? Just to ask.
Yeah, we're gonna look at his deck right now. So he's got he just sent he sent both economic theory and distributivism, so he's going pretty greedy economic for Russia. I mean, you normally what you see is you see the wood trickle, but you never see eco theory being pulled out this early. So I don't know what they're doing here. This is something very different than what I'm used to for Russia's starting game.
Yeah, that is. I think he might go into Fortress Age, and then from there use 1,000 wood to get both TCs, so he can build many villages and just use that economic theory to boost himself.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's certainly not the orthodox way of playing Russia. I mean,
Yeah,
normally you would try to either go aggro, Streled, recruit at the start, or use the Surov reforms here to basically turn all your unstoppable Streletsys into still unstoppable recruits, basically.
yeah. Also, his deck called Strelets is fun, so we can assume what this is going to be about. Also, he has Strelets Horde, so we might see, as I played this deck personally, and I a few times on the ladder, and I used to play this and then go into Finland Revolt because you get multiple barracks with them, and Strelad Horde card is essentially a card that does one time master for every barracks you have or outpost. And because with Finland Revolt you can think 13 of them, that's 130 Strelets just coming in immediately.
Oh yeah, certainly. Interesting. So he's actually shipping the projects here. So he's getting that polearm unit mixed in with the Strelets. Haven't really seen this start before by Russia.
Yeah, me neither. I think he's microing. Ah, actually, his micro is solid. I think he should now go for that TP that Elia built, so he can get that TP down and deny any further experience getting towards
Yeah, he's also
Elia.
going waterways, so I mean, you would disrupt that as well.
Oh yeah, that's
He's
definitely true.
stagecoaching that route. Oh, he's going
If
right for the
I
throat.
Yeah, if I was playing as Russia here and I see the second TP being built, I'd immediately just go, no way I'm allowing that, and destroy those TPs. Both.
Huh, so Leah's forced onto Doppels because he needs a defense. Kind of an interesting situation to put him in. Crossbowmen just aren't going to work, so he's actually going to have to go Doppels and hope. And see, this could be a serious problem if Manir isn't careful. What he's going to do is he's going to pop these Doppels right on top of him. And these Doppels are going to act like cuirassiers to these skirms. So he needs to get these all the way over here somehow and prepare himself. He needs to make
That is
sure he guards himself properly from that. Yep, see, here comes the
yeah, we
Doppels. He's going to get snared by the Yuan, and there's a good
yeah,
chance he's going to get wiped out by these. Or
yeah,
is
we
he...
are seeing. It seems that Russia is putting some pressure, but we aren't looking at what we should look at. Uh, those four Russian Ulans, they killed, I think, more than 5 villagers at Russian base that were
Yeah,
hunting. And
that's what you gotta watch out with Germany is those free U-ones can change the course of the game because they get such high damage that you can lose villas very quickly to them compared to just your everyday Hussar or Cossack.
That is true. And also, Trellets have awful siege and awful health. So I don't think they are the best unit to go here. Maybe just to deny any villagers gathering resources. That can be quite nice, but still, I don't think Russia has enough siege to inflict any damage on all.
Yeah, I mean, 4 Porchicks is not enough to siege a house or a town center. I mean, you're gonna need a lot more than that to be your siege force.
And also, Elia just doing perfectly fine with TPs, not being denied or any, putting some pressure with Ulans.
All the
I
while
don't know what.
building tempo for Fortress Age. Gonna get some skirmishers too now through the age up. Yeah, I can
And
see this Russia dropping as soon as Germany reaches that Fortress Age, because he's not going to be able to deal with the skirmishers that come out of that age up.
yeah, and also Elias probably gonna get a shipment in at the time of the age up, so he could wait for 2 falconets just to get in, or he can gather some gold and get a mercenary shipment in at the age up, plus units that he has already gathered. I
Yeah,
don't think any chance.
yeah. I see him going 12 Jaegers because that's kind of a finishing blow against the Russian composition here.
Definitely. Or even 9 Ulan.
Oh yeah, 9 Yuan. I mean, that way you don't even have to trade for the coin, and it still gets the same job done.
Because only 4 Poruchiks is not enough, because 4 pikemen to defeat 9 Ulans plus all that you get from the age up. Not enough.
Yep, he's not watching the map. He could have just shot these right here, and he just walked past them.
Yeah, interesting. Elias sent Ulans in age. I probably would have waited for me to get in age 3, then send the card, then he used it immediately.
He says,
I don't know why.
"Sure, yeah." What is he insinuating there? I don't know. I mean, you just need to like choose when to attack, how to attack. Yeah, Leah played perfectly. He defended well, and then he capitalized off of this. Man, Russia just, I don't know. I mean, like, let's look at post game. Germany more resources, kills. What 74 units and only 15 kills versus 59 on the German side. This is really bad management here. Like, really bad management.
I mean, Russia had a lot of strelets, but their unit, and a lot of all units, but their units weren't as good as Germany. And also, I think that Germanico is just way better there. And also, Russia shouldn't have allowed any TP play for Germany. It was just too much.
Yeah, I mean, if they went off that trade route and did some siege work there, they wouldn't have been caught in the Germans' base, and they would have seen the Doppels coming from a mile away if he made those, and he probably wouldn't even have made those. You know, he would have just went crossbowmen, and Strelets are going to do much better against crossbowmen than what happened there. So, I mean, and then also you get a bit of XP bounty from burning one of those TPs down, so it helps you propel yourself a bit, too.
Yeah. What is Elias Elo? Like, what is his usual Elo that he plays?
Like
Uh,
what civ he usually plays?
not Civ, but Elo. What
I don't know what
Elo is?
ELO is. Can I find that out on here? I don't know. That's a good question. Like, I've never actually checked his ELO before. I mean, I could probably check it right. Like, I wonder if I could find it right here somewhere. Let me see.
I'm
Let me
gonna
find out.
try to find.
Yeah, you should be able to find him right here somewhere. Let me look. That should. Yep. Let me see.
Yeah, did you see that there is gonna be a
All right. So this is Aaliyah. He's got about 1288 on supremacy 1v1 and about 301 on team.
So how much is that?
So I'll show you mine. This is my rating. So I'm also in the 1.2k rating on, but on the lower side of it, I'm about the same on team, and I only did like a couple tree games. I didn't do any DM or any of these, so only Aaliyah did those. So
So he's around our.
yeah, we're kind of on, at least numbers wise, pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
I would expect him to be higher, honestly, with maybe around 13 or 14 on the 1v1. Because I play with some Liga players on DE, and they got ELOs of like 14k, 1.1400 or 1500.
Oh, also I want just to say something funny. There's gonna be a tournament. Revolt Royale is the name. So it's gonna be a 1v1 treaty tournament where the like treaty 10 minutes. So you can't take in Russian first 10 minutes, and you have to revolt around 12-minute mark, and you can't repeat civilizations. First map is a blind pick, and loser of each map has come to pick for the next map. No risk except by the agreement, and there is a prize pool of $500. So
Oh, okay, very interesting. Didn't know about that tournament. You know, if you want to send the link to that to me later, that I'd totally look at that one and see what that's all about.
you can you can go on free food party site. That's like Age of Empires.
Yeah, I know the free food party. I'm part of their Discord.
Yeah, just go on there and find the tournament.
Yeah, so what do you want the last game to be? You said you could do one more, right?
Yeah, I can do one more. Anything. All
Alright,
right.
so, alright, let's do a deathmatch. We got this deathmatch 4v4. You think you could handle that one?
Yeah,
Alright,
definitely.
let's do that one. If this one sinks, we'll just do another one. Because we got a bunch of deathmatch games in the DM. Alright, let me go into... Alright, now go into load. Find that one. Here we go. Alright, so we got two Ottomans, a France, and a Dutch versus the Dutch, French, Hods, and Swedes. Very interesting. We don't always see Native American civs in Deathmatch, so I don't know what the Hods are going to do exactly here.
So I think, firstly, uh, France is gonna do nice. They have curds, they have skirms like normal European civ. Uh, Dutch can, I think, as game goes longer on, uh, Dutch becomes stronger because of their bank eco. If we are talking about Haudenosaunee, that's my main civ, and I think it's pretty good in that match because of their field cannons or light cannons that they get in H4. Because though they have range of culverines, plus they can be microed very well because they don't have any. Um, they are very fast. They don't have any unpack animations. They are unpacked always. And if you know how to micro them, your opponents are pretty helpless. I watched a game last few days, and I don't remember who played in it. It was some top game, and Haudenosaunee guy um had around 8 field guns, their cannons, and Turkish player or Ottoman player had around uh, 12 12 great bombards. And even though you have one of the best artillery in the game, I don't think Haudenosaunee can are that good because their units are pretty questionable. Firstly, their musketeers are one of the weakest in the games. Their skirmishes are one of the best, and they have nice goons. Then Sweden can do pretty well, and Ottomans are pretty strong FI industrial nations because of their church cards that they can get. So they can have nizams, they can have spahis, and they can have great bombards. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we'll have to see right now how this combat turns out. You know, everybody's clearly building their town centers and churches first. You know, again, the TCs for the villager queues, and then either with the church or in the case of the Americans to market, they can get um, their mercantilism style technology to get a bunch of shipments up front and start sending them right away.
So let's see.
Oh, that one was an out of sync one, so we're gonna have to grab another one real quick then. I got another one right here that we'll do. It's Deathmatch 2v2. Aaliyah Frostbite versus Josh and Stowe. Yeah,
Crashed.
they gotta fix this game in terms of the out of syncs of the recording files. You know, I've seen some pretty horrendous situations caused by that before. Namely, there was a time when we actually lost a record game for the Helter Skelter tournament for Royal Clans. So I mean, it affects everybody all the way to the top of the food chain, I think.
Yeah, definitely. That is a big problem in because I played before the stream. I played a bit 1v1s, and game got out of sync, and both of us lost rating points around 15, both of us. So games just bugged out. It went out of sync, and now we are just losing points. I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's just
Yep. I don't know. It's kind of interesting when you think about how it all turns out that way.
So again, I don't. Map is okay. Elia playing. We've seen him play Deathmatch before. Again, as the game goes, I believe that Portuguese and Dutch players are gonna benefit more because of their better ecos. Russia and England can pretty easily make. Again, I don't know what I want to say here, but Russia is solid. Civ, it's just how everybody will see.
Yeah. I know Malia's a pretty gifted British in deathmatch, and I've seen him do some pretty good tricks with them, getting the manor houses out quickly and starting to train the settlers out of them using the to raise houses card, as well as getting a lot of livestock out too. So I mean, Alia's probably gonna have a pretty easy time here with the British, if indeed the game doesn't sync this time. Which, there's a good rule of thumb in game recordings. If the game doesn't out of sync by the first minute, usually you're not going to experience an out of sync at all after that first minute. And then after 5 minutes, it's most definitely never going to happen. Just a good rule of thumb for you if you're ever looking at game recordings and you're worried that it's going to out of sync. Most of them happens before the first minute mark, and the rest would happen around the 5 minute mark.
So,
Alright.
mercantilism for sending free mixes, fencing school, and
the yard
cavalry train.
Yep, this for the banks.
Yeah, all the techs.
Starting to wall up this choke point here at the cliffs over here. That's very good.
Yeah, just to be sure for his villagers and
the Huamakas, that's a really good native warrior to send.
Then we hear the blue team blocking themselves up, getting the natives. Everything standard, pumping out villagers.
Strellet Horde being sent right away to get that stats up on them.
Oh, I don't think that was a good card to be sent immediate.
Yep, it adds some hit points and range to them, so they'll be able to shoot a bit farther. They're only at a mere 14 range without it, and then they go up to 16 range, which is more standard for like a crossbowman style ranged infantry.
But I think the Strellet Horde does a one-time master of 5 Strelets per outpost for blockhouse.
Yeah.
So I think needed to wait a bit than to do that immediately, but his choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was probably just worried that it was going to get outranged too far by the Dutch skirmishers, which have a whopping 20 range compared to that. So, I mean, you have to pick and choose your battles, essentially, with all that.
Yeah, Elia going on raid SARS in the northeast of the map.
Up, here comes the horse artillery. Horse artillery on both sides are going to be engaging.
Yeah, horse artillery is pretty powerful against infantry. And Russia just having 200 population of pure Strelets.
Yeah, the one advantage Dutch gets, though, is that they put outposts here, which means this is one distraction that the Russians going to have to target, which gives Dutch openings to shoot at his horse artillery with his horse artillery, which means he might get some free shots off him if he's not careful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and over here we got Portugal with Caçador and their dragoons against longbowmen and dragoons on the British side. I feel like in this sense, longbowmen always have a bit of an advantage in deathmatch just because they get a much longer range and they also have siege potential too, thanks to siege archery.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna pick 3 best skirmishers in the whole game, I'm going to pick an American sharpshooter as number one, guard longbowman as second, and probably Haudenosaunee uh, skirmisher and the number three. I think those three are probably the best. First two because of their range, and Haudenosaunee skirmishers is just overall good.
Yeah, did you see that idling there by the Portuguese that their artillery they sort of just fell into Alea's trap of his culverins for free?
Yeah, that was. I mean, it wasn't for free, but
It was pretty
he
close.
used
I mean, he
for
still has 4 culverins, so almost 5. It's pretty
four
good.
color.
Yeah, that was a
That
big
wasn't a.
loss of cannons, though. Yeah, the other cool
I
thing
think.
about longbowmen compared to Caçadors is they literally shoot 2 arrows for every bullet that the Caçadors get out because of their rate of fire.
Yeah, I think what. I don't know what Portuguese should do here. They
They
are
s-
counter
uh,
fully.
I don't know if organ gun is the play here because technically the culverins can just wipe out the organ guns before they even become a threat to the longbowmen.
Yeah, but what should they do? Because longbowmen outrange and outfire Castadors. Goon on goon battles will go better for Portuguese, but with those longbowmen in, you can't fight them properly, and any of your cavalry is going to be denied by any of your artillery is going to be denied by cavalrines. So I'm not really sure a Portuguese player should be here.
Oh yeah, and another thing you should know too about longbowmen is you can actually use longbowmen as counter artillery units because they get a long range and they get a good rate of fire, good enough that they can actually snipe artillery units too because of that range.
Oh yeah, something like arrow knights.
Oh yeah, I mean they don't hit as hard because of the lack of multipliers, but it kind of works out better for them because instead of being emphasized against artillery, they get nice multipliers against the light cav, the heavy inf. So they're probably a more versatile version of the Arrow Knight in the end.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, look
I
at
mean,
that
arrow knight,
Russia pikes intercepting those organs.
a nice catch, definitely.
Yeah,
But
we could look back here and see what's going on. We got unstoppable Stiletzis holding a line of defense here with Cossacks pushing out, trying to aggro on the anti-infantry units of the Dutch.
yeah, but
And now they're getting double
uh,
teamed by the British, throwing in melee units at them, so this is definitely not good for them. Getting a bit cornered. Don Stowe's going to have to reposition himself and maybe get those horse artillery in better position to blast the Strelets with.
I don't know what to say for this matchup because seems that both of these teams counter each other perfectly. So I think if we are talking about matchup, Russia versus Netherlands is one of the best matchups uh, for Netherlands that you can get because their skirmishes outrange Russian strelets. They have they have those goons that counter Russian Cossacks, and if Russia goes artillery, you can always go anti-artist, so I'm not pretty sure what Russia should do. And also, England just counters Portugal so well in this match. Better skirmishers, cavalries. I'm just not sure what Russia and Portugal should do here.
Yeah, this is a kind of a desperate move by Dutch because they're starting to run out of food. They actually sent their blue guards right into the Strelets just to meat shield and protect himself a bit. Yeah, once you get into sort of this phase of the deathmatch, we have to look at resource numbers. And we see Portugal struggling in resources, and we see the Dutch struggling in resources. But Portugal's probably the worst off here. Because look, no food for N4 Cav, barely any coin for artillery, so this is basically forcing Portugal into another turtle at this point behind their walls, so they don't run out of their entire army altogether. Because they burned too much at the start of the game, it looks like.
Yeah, what would you do if you were Portugal at this point?
Well, first we need to look and see, okay, how many vills in is he? He's at about... Alright, so he's heading towards the end of his line of villagers. He is missing textile mill, he's missing cigar, and he's missing the rum distillery. So priority would be to get these coin cards, move some of the villagers off of the estates, and get them onto the mills. And just restructure his economy and start to grow a bit. That's all he can really do right now. Did he send... Yep, he sent sustainable agriculture. He just needs more villagers onto food and get some more onto the coin with all those upgrade cards. Because if he doesn't get his economy upgraded and maxed out, he's gonna lose single-handedly to these British, who are now able to completely counteract his Cassadors 100% just by throwing hussars at him. You know, now he's switching over to the Legionario muskets just to get their bayonets in their horses' faces at that point and try to do some pushback.
I agree with you 100%, and they need to restructure their economy, but what would you do military-wise? Because I'm not sure if they can do anything well.
Yeah, I mean, in the situation of Dutch versus Russia, Don Stowe has a bit of a different thing he can lean back on. So he knows that his food economy is kind of mediocre because you can't get as many villagers as the Dutch because of their coin focus. So what he's doing is he's only making enough units with whatever economy he can get with the food, and he has all this coin in his back pocket just to make a larger army of cannons. So he can use the cannons to wipe out the infantry and artillery on their side, and then he can mostly just make riders with the food and plan accordingly. But he does have to be careful, like in this case. Purple's just going to plow Cossacks in, just as Don Stowe's ready to start grabbing some hunts over there. So he's going to have to wait a little bit before he can even get onto that food, and how can we figure out, basically, how that's going to affect the front lines now, because it's a constantly tense situation. A little bit of help from Portugal, but really not doing anything, because these Portuguese intercepted the attack on the cults. I was going to say, if he could have wiped out those culverins, maybe Don could have started to push in more with the horse artillery, and that would have, eased up the side a bit, because it seems like right now, the Aliyah and Russia team is just doing phenomenal in terms of resource count. Russia's doing pretty well. Aliyah's doing pretty solid in terms of his resource. And that's mainly because Aliyah is taking advantage of herdables. He uses fulling mills as well as the wool staple ports to essentially get really quick sheep and cows. And this is actually a card that we see in Wars of Liberty for Argentina. Over there it's called Butchers, but here it's called Fulling Mills. It allows your villagers to gather from herdables 300% faster, so triple the normal gather rate from herdables. And that basically allows a villager to eat up an entire animal within a matter of seconds. And if you can manage the herdables really well, that gives British almost infinite food, which they seem to be doing right now, which works great in the deathmatch.
Yeah, this looks like an infinite food from the British.
Yeah, British are basically the economic MVP right now. Because if Russia, for whatever reason, burns through all their food, getting unstoppable Steletzis, guess what? Leah can just send some lamb chops over to Russia to eat on and to get some more Steletzis whenever they need it.
Yeah.
And that basically turns them into a constant threat for the Dutch.
Yeah, and also it looks like Russian player is doing historic Russia from 16th century, so pure Cossack Strelet army.
Yep, that's basically, you either go full recruit Cossack or you go Strelok Cossack. That's like the definitive way to do Russia, I think. With the occasional artillery in the back, of course, like these howitzers, which are helping to slowly eat through the wall.
Wow, look at the resource flyer. He's getting 11,000 food per second, per minute. So many animals dying.
Yeah, but it's
So
for the greater good, I guess, because it means he's going to have food throughout the game. And he's going to be able to keep supplying his ally here as needed. I like how you get so much done of the hordes of Strelets that even with this horrible coin economy, Russia can still afford to keep a full group of Cossacks going constantly because the Strelets are doing most of the work. And he really just needs to go in with like groups of 5 Cossacks at a time to get the job done. So he's really conserving on coin usage there, which is always nice. Look at this flanking, though, by Leah right into Portugal's economy. So he was sneaking in hussars and halberdiers in the back here. And I feel like that's pretty serious, you know. That's gonna... I want to look at Portugal right now and see. Yep, so he's got his factories still, right? And I want to check Dutch. Yep, they got their factories, you know. Probably Portugal should put a wall around them like Don Stowe did for that reason, because it gives you a little bit more preparation time if somebody's going to snipe your factories. Because factories in deathmatch are a very important asset to keeping your economic flexibility going, you know. Because if you want to go full mill economy, you're going to need some coin wood, and that's where the factories come in. But if they burn those down, you know, now you have to put some of your vills on trees or put them onto the estates. And then, of course, for trees, you know, you lose the trees in your base, and then things become pretty hardcore for you, and things can go very sour very quickly. Yeah.
could see petards.
Yep.
I saw petards from.
Oh, Leah loves petards. And I don't see a problem with that at all. I mean, if you can get 2 or 3 of them in there, untouched, they will wipe out a factory by themselves.
Yeah. 2,000 siege damage. That's a lot.
Yep. An underrated unit for sure.
I got rushed by Netherlands. They send, I think they have some special card that helps them, that makes petard cheaper for them. So I got rushed pretty much with petard only. I think they are underrated a lot.
Oh, most definitely.
seeing some howitzers, Russia just going in with Cossacks and Strelets. They are unstoppable.
Yeah, I think now what we're seeing is Russia grinding down the economy of the Dutch, because you see their resources are like barely intact now. That coin advantage is absolutely gone now from the Dutch player. And how many bills do they got? They got about yeah, I mean, yeah, they lost a good number of bills there, and they're probably going to lose even more. So it's safe to say that probably Dutch are out of this thing very soon. And then Portugal, I think, if I look properly at their, yeah, I mean, they're not doing great right now. They're like barely able to keep up with these queues right now, only doing so due to factories at this point. Yeah, pretty much.
These thoughts have become unstoppable.
Yep, unstoppable Stletzy, that is.
Now, only thing Portugal has left to live for is try to fight off this Russian invasion and hope that Elia isn't going to push down on his
Yeah,
party.
definitely.
But yeah, this is just
GG, see, you just called it.
it's over. I mean, both Russia and Great Britain did very. Only thing I in both played very exceptionally well, but I think the thing that lost the game for Dutch and Portugal was eco. Their food eco was very, and Portugal probably needed to restructure his economy in the late game.
Yeah, I mean, you got the advantage as Portugal of just being able to get your bills out quicker. So, I mean, I don't see why he could have, gotten those resource buildings out and moved things around as needed. I think also, too, what he ended up doing was he just burned through a lot of coin really fast because longbowmen culverins just ripped through organ guns way too effectively, basically, and he just lost a lot of those resources up front. Because when you look right here, I mean, his score was his resource output was pretty actually somewhat better than Russia, who didn't have a problem the whole game. So I mean, in theory, Portugal should have been okay. It was actually Don Stowe who had the least resources, but again, he was able to manage them better. He was able to take advantage of the coin advantage with the banks and just stick to just cannons mostly. And then when we get to kills here, like Don Stowe did really well with just going all cannons. He got like this many kills eventually. This is really impressive. For all the units Russia made, Dutch was pretty top on dealing with them too, and even Portugal even got more kills than his opponent did. So I mean, it just came down to economy at that point, not military.
Yeah, definitely. So I have to go, and just to be sure, are we doing a stream on Thursday?
Yep, I'll probably be setting that up on Wednesday, and yeah, hopefully everything works well. If we have problems with the connect account again, I'll just use the stream key again and set it up a bit earlier. Might even give myself a couple of minutes in stream time and program it for 5:10 or something instead of 5. So you could do that if needed too. Most definitely. Oh, looks like our friend just left. So yeah, that was a pretty good stream, right? Most definitely. yeah, who enjoyed watching that stream of ours? Anybody like watching Cassie Games of DE? You know, thought I'd change up the format a bit. You know what I mean? Since Stefan wants to do so much of this casting with me, I figured, hey, instead of doing the normal format, we could do stream format, so people could watch it live, and then we can put it up on YouTube later, the VOD, and then people can watch it afterwards. It might actually get more attention that way. So, you know, yeah, definitely. Well, does anybody want me to do any more games, or are we good? You know, does anybody want to see me do any other matches? Tell me now, or forever hold your peace. Yeah. All right. Think we're good then. So, I guess see you on the next stream that we're gonna do on Thursday. Yeah, and maybe we could do the Tuesday Thursday format every week, except for the August to 4th dates because of its chess tournament. So yeah, let's see you on Thursday then. All right. Signing off now. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy on Unstoppable Stwat's YouTube channel. Yeah, definitely.